To power down or not to power down? Why should I turn off my computer when I'm not using it? Well, why would I keep it on? Because it takes too long for my computer to turn back on? Because frequently turning my computer on and off again can damage it? Or because turning my computer off and back on consumes more power than just leaving it on? Well, let's look at the first one. It takes too long for my computer to turn back on. Is there any way I could alleviate this? Any way I could solve this problem? Well, I could always just put my computer into sleep mode. It takes just a moment to put my computer to sleep, and just a moment more to wake it up. So I guess that's not really a valid reason after all. So let's look at the second one. Frequently turning my computer on and off again can damage it. Well, today's computers are actually good for about 40,000 on-off cycles. So if I turn my computer off and back on frequently, once every day, that's 40,000 cycles over 365 days, or 109 years. I doubt I'll be around longer than that, so I don't have to worry about wearing my computer out by turning it off a few times a day. In fact, I should probably be more worried about wearing out other parts of my computer by leaving it on all the time. Parts like the fans, the monitor, and the processor. And if I'm worried about damage from frequent thermal expansion, which is when the parts expand from heating, then I can be sure to just put my computer to sleep so that it stays warm. So I guess that's not a very good reason either. So let's look at the last one. Turning my computer off and back on consumes more power than just leaving it on. Well, let's give that some more serious thought. Perhaps a little calculation is in order? We can measure power in W, or watts, which is measured as a per hour unit. We can use this to compare power use of a computer in different states for different amounts of time. Speaking of states, now is a good time to define the 5 basic states a computer can be in. These states are load, which is when the computer is working as hard as possible, idle, which is when the computer is running but not really doing anything, asleep, which is when the computer is in sleep mode or standby, soft off, which is when the computer is off but still plugged into the wall, and hard off, which is when the computer is off and not even plugged into the wall. Now each of these has varying power use. When a computer is under load, it is using as much energy as can possibly be used. When a computer is idle, it's using as little energy as possible while still running. When a computer is asleep, it's using just enough to keep the computer warm. When in soft off, it's using almost no power, but still just a little bit. And when in hard off, it's using absolutely no power at all. Now this power consumption graph is all relative, and as you can see, load uses a full 100% of a computer's power, as expected. At idle, a computer uses about 57% of the power that it would use while under load. While asleep, a computer only uses 4% of the power that it would use while under load. And soft off only 3%, and of course hard off is 0% because it's using no power at all. These percentages work as a ratio, because regardless of how slow or fast a computer is, power efficiency between states is roughly the same for modern parts. In other words, these percentages apply to most modern computers. These particular percentages are the results of a test on a really big and beefy computer. No, not that little guy. Like that. So here if we look at the actual wattage used by this particular computer, at load it uses 544 watts, while idle 310 watts, asleep 20 watts, soft off 17 watts, and of course hard off 0 watts. So let's say that the computer is in load during startup, which realistically that's not quite the case. Computers may use more processing power while starting up, but it's not their maximum. That means it uses about 43% more of its max power consumption than when it's just on idle. Well, the computer still saves about 53% when asleep, meaning that if the computer sleeps for just as long as it takes to start up, thus keeping everything on the same time scale, it saves 53% minus 43% equals 10%. And the longer it stays asleep, the more it saves. In fact, for every minute asleep longer than the amount of time startup takes, the computer is saving an additional 53%, because the deficit caused by starting the computer back up has already been paid off, meaning only the difference between idle and asleep matters. Just remember that W is measured in hours, so a full hour of sleep past the startup period yields 53% of 544 watts equals about 290 watts in saving. You can get this same calculation simply by subtracting 20 watts asleep consumption from the 310 watts idle consumption, again yielding a savings of 290 watts. So I guess that's not really a valid reason either. So then why would I keep it on? I guess there isn't really a good reason then. If I'm going to be away for any decent amount of time, it would probably be best to put my computer to sleep, and possibly shut it down overnight.